All right, we are going live. Good afternoon. This is Ricky Fairley, and this is Love Your Bones. We are happy to have people here today on this 4th of July holiday weekend. We don't know who's watching and who's on Zoom today on blackdoctor.org, but we are here and we are talking to our new friend, Sandra Thomas.
Hi there.
Go ahead, Sandra, introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm Sandra.
Sandra, I'm sorry.
No, I think you said Sandra. I met you, I guess, watching one of your lives and then following up with an email not too long ago. And you asked me to come on, and here I am. So very nice to be here. And I'm privileged to talk with you today.
Great, thank you. And you know, most people know me in the breast cancer space, but we do this work because so many breast cancer patients have bone mets or bone issues, and chemo just weakens our bones. So we're trying to talk to really anyone who has osteoporosis or a tendency towards osteoporosis, because it really is a silent disease that nobody in our community knows about. And people think, you know, well, Black people are strong, we have strong bones, and we do. We start out with stronger bones. But guess what? As we age, they get weaker, and the numbers for destitution and death and breaks and falling and are huge as we age as Black people. And so this is just an opportunity to talk about it, to get educated about it. And, you know, we're just always trying to start these conversations at the kitchen tables of Black households.
Right.
You know, really anything about health, but specifically about things that are going to really matter and make a difference in our lives. So I'm going to let you tell your story, because you're going to evolve to a breast cancer story, right? And so, but let's start with where you started with osteo, like how you, what were you doing before that made you recognize it? What happened? What'd you do? You know, tell the whole deal.
Okay, so about 13 years ago or more, I was going through menopause. I'm 58 now. And I had gone to see an endocrinologist.
Why?
Considering what I'd heard of as hormone replacement. I knew there was some, and maybe there was some more natural forms of it. I don't know, but I went to see her, and she did a DEXA scan at that time, and she said to me, "Did you drink milk when you were growing up?"
Wow. And you guys, a DEXA scan is a scan that scans your bones. It takes 5 minutes. It's really simple, but most people don't get them or don't even know what they are. It's a simple x-ray, but go ahead for bone health.
I don't even know if that was like early for me in terms of age. I'm not sure. I'm sure I was finished with menopause, maybe around 45, but I started, you know, sometime before that. And my mother passed away from breast cancer when I was 3. So I do not even know not only her breast cancer history or anything about the rest of her health or what her bone health would have been or anything like that.
Wow. And when you were 3, wow.
Yeah. Yes. So no one to really ask, you know. My sister and I are a year and 9 months apart, so we're similar with our dates for our menopause and, you know, things like that. And but that's like the only person I really had like to relate to and actually try to figure out, you know, what's supposed to happen to us at a certain age, because, you know, we didn't have our mother around, so I don't know. So anyway, I did not follow up with that endocrinologist. Probably because, ironically, I probably had heard at the time that possibly hormone replacement would cause breast cancer.
Hello, what a concept.
So I never even followed up, and I never did hormone replacement. And after some more time passed with all kinds of symptoms coming and going, you know, you get all kinds of night sweats, palpitations, crazy feelings, you know, all kinds of things were going on during that time. And thankfully they've gone away. So that's all good. And I made it through that period of time. I consider myself postmenopausal for, you know, many years now.
Right.
But yeah, that's when it started. And during my breast cancer treatment, just to skip ahead a little bit, I was at the end of my treatment and I kind of was like, I can't swallow another pill. Why am I taking this bone building pill? I had gone, I think in 2019, to another endocrinologist to have my thyroid checked. And she did put me on a bone building pill. But at the end of my cancer treatment, I was kind of like, I can't take another pill. So I stopped taking it. I called and made my appointment. I said, we need to see if it's even doing anything. And at that time, she did another DEXA scan, and she said it really had not done much. There wasn't much improvement. And so then that's when I was switched to this next treatment that I'm on, which is the Prolia every 6 months, an injection. So we're going to see how that works. And she conferred with my oncologist because she was under the impression, and she said that it helps to prevent metastases to your bones. And he agreed that I should go on it, but he more so for the osteoporosis, but he does provide it at the infusion center, at the oncology center, because of the damage that the chemo does to patients' bones. So
Wow.
I get it there, and I'm going to go again this month, next week. I go next week again to get my second infusion, my second injection of the Prolia.
Wow. So go back for a second. So when you went to the first endocrinologist and she said she did a DEXA scan, did she tell you about your bone health then? Did she tell you you were prone to osteoporosis or?
I think she might have said I was either pre or that I had osteoporosis.
Wow.
But again, like I told you before, I was kind of like, okay, stay off the slopes. Don't go rollerblading. I didn't think that, you know, it was something I need to take a medicine for. And yes, I did drink milk growing up. But you know what I found out several years back is that my vitamin D was very low.
Which
I don't remember if it was
for our community, you know, very common for our community.
Yes.
Our vitamin D is low. Interesting, huh?
Right.
So,
yes. Maybe the milk, the calcium never absorbed. I don't really know, but yeah.
Interesting. So then you fast forward like 15, 10, 12 years or so, and then you get breast cancer. So tell me about your breast cancer story. How'd you get diagnosed?
Okay. So just previous to that, I had just retired from my job. I took like 5 little trips and mini trips, including New Orleans. And so that was 2019. And I remember in 2019, in the summer, I went to Utah and I was in a convention center. And I remember walking a certain distance. I really didn't feel good. I have like a little history of everything from lung condition to like palpitations and premature beats and things like that. But then when I came back home, I noticed all during the summer, I was having trouble bending over. I was wondering, is that a gastric issue or palpitation? So that was the summer. And I just did a lot of stooping instead of bending over. And by fall, I think I went for a, not only my mammogram, because, okay, now, I'm sorry, in 2020 now, I had the mammogram. In 2019 is when I had a pancreatic issue. That had to do with the, with this gastric or palpitation kind of feeling. And that fall, I had gone to have a chest x-ray for a lung condition that I have. And then I got all these phone calls, there's something wrong with your pancreas. So I don't know if it's at all related. Fast forwarding to my gene study that was done, 77, no mutations, 77 genes, one of an unknown variant of significance. So
when they say that, what does that mean? Like, what do you mean unknown? Is it not discovered yet? Like, do other people have it?
Gene it is, right. And I know what gene it is. I think they don't know what it's related to yet. And I tried to look it up. And it did mention gastric. It didn't relate anything to another type of cancer in your body, like triple negative breast cancer. But I found that weird that in 2019, I did go through that. So what the CT of my chest picked up was part of my pancreas, and I had a dilated middle section. So in the end, by the end of 2019, I had distal pancreectomy. So I have like a third of my pancreas, but they take your spleen because they share the veins. At least that's what they're still doing. I think they're trying to get away from that. And then I was already wearing a mask in 2020 when other people started wearing it, because I then was told to wear a mask until I got this series of about 8 different vaccinations that you get when you don't have a spleen.
Oh, wow.
So also, I don't know, this is weird too. I don't have my tonsils because when I was a child, I had a lot of ear infections. It's your gut. This is your immune system, your gut, your tonsils, supposedly your spleen. I forget what other area, some others, about 4.
Thyroid, maybe?
Your thyroid, right. So I already don't have my tonsils and I don't have my spleen. And then we have a pandemic. So I went through the whole breast cancer thing during the pandemic as well. I'm already wearing a mask. I went and I got all those series of those vaccines. And by the end of 2020, in May, actually, I think they canceled my mammogram because we were just coming off of mostly being shut down. Like doctors' offices were getting, I think, away from so much virtual and trying to have you come back in the office, but they canceled my spring appointment. I went in the fall. So I went in the fall and I got my mammogram. Of course, I got a letter back saying everything was fine, because it always does. But I have dense tissue and I should get a sonogram. But when I was there, I said to the tech, I said, I'm going to be back. She should have written the script for both at the same time. And I put a note in my phone to call my GYN office and ask for the script for the sonogram. And I hadn't done it yet. And I'd say a week and a half or more later, maybe by the end of that month, I was laying on the bed. I had a little itch here on my chest and I started scratching. And I said, oh, what is that? And I said, oh, okay. Let me make sure right away tomorrow that I ask for my script for my sonogram. And then I went for the sonogram, which becomes at that appointment, another mammogram, which becomes the GYN office calling me back and telling me to go get an MRI. And then the MRI became on Christmas Eve, 2020. I had a biopsy. And then by January 2021, I also had another MRI biopsy. And then I was in treatment in February 2nd, 2021.
Wow. Triple negative breast cancer. With triple negative breast cancer.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Wow. So, you went, it's like a whirlwind when you sort of get in that craziness, right, of diagnosis, but you had no idea you had cancer.
Right. No, not until.
And the first mammogram didn't show the tumor, didn't show your cancer.
No. And to me, it was right there under the skin. I'm like, and it showed nothing. That was the weirdest thing. So that was very strange. Of course, you go through a lot of wondering, like, well, where does it come from? How do you get it? And we don't know our mother's history, her subtype.
Right, we have her history. And it seems like she got breast cancer very young, which probably was triple negative, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. And I always, whenever I go to doctor's office and I fill out the health history part, I put down my parents. They both had her husband, my father, he had lung cancer, but he smoked. And I fill out my mother, and she had breast cancer and metastasized to her brain. And I'd always say to the doctor, but she smoked, as if that had anything to do with it. Maybe something, but with triple negative, what do I don't
really know. We don't really know.
No, and no doctor can tell you, they don't.
And interesting because clearly, I don't know what the numbers are, in my breast cancer lane, but I know that there's a lot of lung cancer that's not related to smoking, but it has such a stigma about it that people just automatically assume if you smoke, you're going to get it, which I think there's a high likelihood, but we don't really know about smoking and breast cancer. Clearly they say don't smoke, but they say don't smoke for every disease, right? Don't smoke, don't drink.
Right. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Wow. Did your dad die when you were young also?
No, I would say that was 20 years later, because I was in my 20s.
Okay. Okay.
Like 20 years later. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So,
yeah. And so, yeah, when I answered your query for people to email you about the osteoporosis, and I've been talking to another one of the advocates out there, and I had offered to do whatever I can, because I just want to give back. I have a daughter, I have nieces, I have friends with pectorals, period,
right.
And whatever I could do regarding that, I want to do. Yeah. And then osteoporosis, that's a bonus, huh? How does that happen?
I know. So let's talk about that. You kind of learned about it by accident, right? Even though you were told about it when you were young, right? Yeah. And kind of ignored it. Well, who needs, we all live with things and say, okay, you don't even think about, most people think it's like the older white lady disease. Right. You weren't shrinking yet, right? Right. I feel like I'm shrinking now at my age, but you sort of say, okay, well, what can I do health-wise? What can I do to strengthen my body and my bones and keep it moving, right? Right. So it wasn't really till you got breast cancer that it became an issue. Right.
And I probably did try to do something naturally years ago, because I remember taking one of those vitamin brands makes a packet of something that's supposed to build your bone. I do remember doing that. And it was 3 different things you had to take. And then I think I stopped doing that because I think every time I take calcium, I get palpitations. So I tried to do it myself is what it was. I do remember doing that. I've done that over the years. Try to take certain nutrients to make amends. So I did try to do something.
So we all do that. We all say, okay, I'm going to use Dr. Google, and then I'm going to do Dr. Ricky to figure out what I'm going to fix myself with, right?
Yes. If I didn't drink more milk, let me get more calcium,
Right.
I hadn't had enough. Yeah.
We try to figure it out. And that's also part of, how we embrace or not disease, right? So as you were going through all this stuff, who did you talk to about it? Anybody in your family, your sister? Like, did you talk about it at all? Even any piece of this?
About the breast cancer or the bones?
The bones.
The bones.
And the breast cancer too, but the bones.
No one in particular. And I knew at some point my sister started taking something for her bones. And I kind of wondered, was it early for both of us? That was early. And I kind of thought the start of the menopause was a little early. But I really wasn't sure. But I really didn't talk to anybody about it. I don't think I did. No. And out of me and my closest friend group, I'm the only one with the osteoporosis. So I don't know a lot of women who, were originally diagnosed like 13 years ago when they were 45. So I think I lost you.
I muted myself because I was coughing.
Okay.
I'm sorry. No. Is there a reason why you didn't talk about it? I'm trying to, I ask everybody this question because I'm trying to figure out why we don't talk.
Yeah, I think I didn't know how important it was. And I think the other thing I probably tried to do more of was weight resistance exercises. Because supposedly that helps. So in my head, I didn't need to do something. I didn't know because, I don't know. And I tried to do the little things that I tried to do, nutrients and more exercise. That's what I tried to do. Yeah. But I really didn't talk.
We're invincible. We think we're invincible, It's like, at what point do we say, hold on, wait a minute, I'm going to call the doctor.
Call the doctor back in my case. But, yeah.
I know, even with this cold, I have a cold. I can't even remember the last time I had a cold. And of course I thought it was COVID. I've been traveling a lot. I did 5 COVID tests over like 5 days. Home tests, no COVID.
Right.
And I had this nasty cough, and I called my girlfriend who's a nurse. Can you give me something? And she guys has this running like sort of antibiotic prescription for me. She says, I think it's viral, but if you want to take the antibiotics, renew the prescription.
Right.
I think you should really go see somebody because it was a nasty cough. And but I'm running. I got to go to New Orleans. I got stuff to do. I got to get ready for the show, whatever. And so I took one antibiotic, and then I said, okay, I'm going to doc in the box. My doc couldn't see me before I left for New Orleans, and so I went to a doc in the box, and she said, you have a cold. We did a PCR test. You don't have COVID, but I was really trying to do everything possible to solve the problem without any expertise.
Right. Yes.
And I think especially when we're moms, we think we can fix everything and we do it, but
and we don't stop and think about ourselves.
Right.
Yes. Years ago, I was running around coughing. I used to cough, I think every year from like late spring to the beginning of summer. I would have thought, but I always had like bronchitis and what have you. And I went to a doctor regarding something else, and he sent me for a chest x-ray, and I had pneumonia.
Yeah.
Now I get my coughs checked. Plus I have like lung condition.
Right.
So but yes,
If you learn from it, but we always try to self-medicate, and we shouldn't.
Right.
And also even talking about it, I mean, I probably wouldn't talked about it if I didn't have this vivid cough. But I'm like, and so I'm sitting here like, you talk to people about this every day. What is wrong with you? Like, do something, call the doctor, do what you got to do. So, but I really want to help Black families have these conversations. And you didn't have your mom to even talk to, So how are you dealing with this differently with your daughter?
Well, one thing I want to tell you regarding Black families talking. So over the years, because my brothers are old enough to be my father, we have a little generation gap, right? And I'm the baby. And over the years, we've asked little questions here and there, what was our mother like? Little things like that, but I never got much info. We were preparing last weekend to do our virtual family reunion online. I was talking to one of my cousins. She happens to be my mother's goddaughter. And she
Oh,
started telling me things like my mother gave her a sewing machine when she was little, all these kinds of things. Like, oh my gosh, I should have been talking to you all along. So
wow.
very interesting. And I think, I don't know if we ever did it before, but we need to do it at our reunions. We have them every 2 years. And this year was virtual again. Next year, hopefully it will be live. And then I guess we'll go back to every 2 years. But we need to sit down and do that family tree as well, because she told me about my mother and what she went through. And she also told me that my aunt had had breast cancer.
Wow.
I
I
didn't
didn't know
know
that.
that. We were always
Did
asking what happened to her, but I didn't know that,
your mother's sister,
my mother's sister.
did she die?
She did. Hmm.
Young.
Yes. Yep.
Wow. Do you have any other siblings, your mom?
They had an uncle and another sister. Yes. Yes.
And they're okay, they're still alive?
No, my one aunt passed away, I think in the late 90s. Were my children born? I can't remember exactly. And then and their brother had passed away as well.
Wow. Wow. So
Sisters
probably, something is going on that wiped out your family, right?
Yes. And I was on, I don't know if it was one of your lives or one of another person's lives who you also know. They had a doctor on from another university, and she was talking about if she's following this study or she's a part of it. Maybe you mentioned it too, where they're studying the East African and West African women's.
Yes. Melissa Davis, maybe, our Dr. Melissa.
Yes.
Yeah, she's on our medical advisory board. She, Yale Cornell, they're doing a big study in West Africa and really identifying some genetic differences in Black triple negative breast cancer cells for Black women.
Yeah, because, right. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, we have a different disease. Now there's this growing body of research that a Black breast cancer cell looks different from a white breast cancer cell.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it's happening, but also they're finding that the breast cancer gene, the BRCA gene, is connected to often some connection to prostate cancer and colon cancer. And so really so important for families to have these conversations, and then if you take it back to osteoporosis, is there something genetic there? Is there something connected to, issues around how strong your bones are and what happens to them, especially relative to chemotherapy and all the drugs that we're all taking.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And regarding the chemo and the bones, my bones were feeling pretty good for a while.
Yeah.
And so this past week, I've been a member of the YMCA for years, but I had not been going, of course, during this time. And then I joined the Live Strong program. And was it last Monday was cycling day. And I would say 2 days later, it felt like I had broken my right hip. I was laying in the bed saying, oh my gosh, did I swing my leg out too far? Or what is going on? It took like another couple days for it to settle down and for it to get back into place. And it felt like it was honestly broken. And I said, yeah, I don't know what these numbers, I thought the doctor was going to join us. I printed out my DEXA scans with the numbers. I don't know what they indicate in terms of how bad my bones look.
Yeah, I don't really understand the scale of a DEXA. We need to look at that, but they should be able to tell you relative to normal,
just
where you are and where you stand. So
right, yeah, I see the numbers and I know that I have osteoporosis and not what is the pre-osteoporosis.
Osteopenia, maybe.
Yes, there's word for it. Yep. I just don't know in terms of like how close I could be to a bone break that I am. I think one report says I could have like one within 10 years.
Wow.
So yeah.
And that's where you're going into trouble because we kind of say it's all about the break. Because once you break a bone, the recovery is horrible for Black women. Not only do we break, just because you can't work, it changes your life. Because it takes longer to heal. You may need surgery. It causes other complications.
Can't exercise. Yeah.
And you can't exercise. And
exercises, right. Yes.
Exactly. So you don't want to break a bone if you can help it. You just don't want to break it, right? So you got to keep yourself healthy. So, wow. So you're taking Prolia now?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And what's your regimen for that?
So it's every 6 months. So I had it in January, and I get it again next week. And it's an injection that I'll get over at the infusion center at the oncology office. Yes.
Great. And that's been helping you?
So hopefully the next scan, I don't know when it should be scheduled for. I'll have to call them and follow up with the endocrinologist who originally requested it, and go back, and have my follow up. And hopefully I will be seeing better numbers than she saw with the other medicine that I was taking.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
So how long have you been on medication before Prolia even?
So the other medicine, I think I took throughout maybe the 2019 and most of 2020, most of 2021. So maybe I started at the beginning of 2020 or the end of 2019 and took it through last summer, actually, 2021. But I think no more than a year and 3 months. So somewhere along there was a range of time.
Okay.
Where I started, and then I stopped last summer with that one. Yes. When you ask about my daughter and bone health, you did. Yeah, you asked about my daughter and bone health.
Yeah. Well, hold on for 1 second. So when you started, like, what made you change to Prolia from your other medication?
So when I saw last summer, the endocrinologist was not the one that I saw, of course, years ago, and not the one I saw even in 2019, because they'd had some change in staff. But when I saw her, she was able to look in the system, the portal therein, and see, what my previous numbers were. I don't think I took them to her, but she was able to tell me there hadn't been much change. And then she, what about the Prolia? She said, it's only every 6 months. It's an injection, and it might do better, it might be better for you in terms of other things that it does for you, like prevent possible mets to the bones, for instance.
Okay. Well, we don't want that.
Right.
And where are you with your cancer?
So, wow. So I did the 4 cycles of that. That's the adriamycin, Cytoxan. Then I did 8 of the Taxol. And I didn't do 12 Taxols because of neuropathy. The doctor didn't want it to be permanent. Okay. So we switched to 1 dose of Taxotere.
Okay.
And so last June 2021, I finished all of that. And then I had my surgery. So my surgery, clear margins. I was stage 1B.
Okay. Clear margins,
no lymph node involvement, only 1 lymph node taken, but it was still some there. So no PCR. And that is how my doctor also was able to tie the Keytruda in on the back end after my treatment instead of neoadjuvant treatment.
Right. That's really good. I mean, that you can get Keytruda.
Yes, so I had the Keytruda too. So what happened was I had that surgery. I recovered a little bit. I went on the Xeloda, which is the chemo pill, for like 8 cycles of that. I think it was 2 weeks on, 1 week off. That's what your hands, the feet, hand and foot syndrome, my face is broken, and all of that. And then at some point that autumn, 2021, I'm losing track of time.
I know, because I can't believe it's July. Okay, like I'm like freaking out that it's July already. But
yes, and then he added on the Keytruda. So the Keytruda, originally that keynote study that they did, Keytruda with early stage triple negative, it had to be a certain size. It had to maybe have gone outside of the original area, something like that. And one other factor, and I didn't have those factors, but mine was particularly aggressive. It was still there, and it was multifocal. So it was in more than one area in that breast.
Right.
And so originally I knew I was going to get a mastectomy, because you're not going to go biopsy each lump and then try to get a clear margin around each one. And then secondly, I knew I was going to get a double mastectomy because I didn't want to just, have the one. And thirdly, I knew I was going to stay flat because I didn't want any complications, any more surgeries. I wanted to get on with life. I want to go stand in the rainforest and do yoga.
I love that. We're going to make it happen for you. I love that. So, and also with your mom, with your history that you're not really sure about, you have to do all the stuff, right? Well, I'm always about get the double mastectomy and take all the precautions we can, because Black women have a 39% higher recurrence rate.
Mm-hmm.
And who wants to go through this again, right?
Right.
Just for the peace of mind, right?
Right. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And
Wow.
with the genes, I had done the BRCA test years ago, just because I knew that my mother had breast cancer.
Right, right,
To like reassure myself, my daughter, my sister, her
right,
daughter, our nieces, whatever, and negative. And then
right,
this time around, the 77 genes, no mutations. So
right,
yeah, I felt I need to do everything possible.
right.
So I did all that chemo. I did the chemo pill. I did the Keytruda, thank God it was available. And
Yes.
yeah, I even tried to tap on some Chinese herbal medicine, which I stopped taking for now. And,
Mhm.
but
Take
yeah,
that as a supplement in addition to your chemo, all about the natural
yeah.
things, as long as you're doing the chemo too, because you really can't do that, right? Right.
Right, I couldn't do it at the time. So at the end, I tried to add that. I took it away because I'm not sure if it's causing any other little side effects. So for now, I'm not doing that. But yeah, I tried to do everything I could. And exercising, I always was. I can't say I wasn't.
That's good. Well, let's talk about it. So you're taking the proly, you're about to get your second infusion. Did your doctor recommend for you to do anything else with it, or just to take the drugs? Like, what did your doctor recommend? Just curious.
Like for after or during?
Now, like now.
Like now, he
Mhm.
told me to go live my life, go work, go play, and don't think about cancer. And I was like, yes, I'm like running as fast as I can, having
To
fun,
get
doing
your
all
life
kinds of things,
back. Yeah.
enjoying life, because that's what I was trying to do anyway. When all of this started, I gave myself like some items on a calendar that I want to be able to get around to doing. And I like going on retreats. So I've already gone on a one, and I already had a girls' weekend out east. Things like that. So I put those things on my calendar. And so those are things I'm trying to do, like just live like I had been doing before, but even more so. But
I
he
know.
also said he didn't say not to take the herbal remedy. He was grateful that he was able to get me the Keytruda. I was very grateful too. And I followed up. In the beginning, I did a second opinion with a doctor at another well-known, reputable cancer center treatment. And at the end, I did the same thing with another doctor who has done triple negative research at the end. And he knows that, my doctor. And he's like, good, I'm glad you did that. And the doctor that I saw at the other institution, she said, can I mention all these institutions? Should I? She said that he had gone over and above. He'd done everything and even more so. And that it was good that he got me the Keytruda. And she said at the time she would take my port out to avoid
That's a good thing.
infection or blood clot. And I had thought my doctor was never going to say that, because some nurses there had already said, no, some people have ports for quite a long time.
Oh, I had mine for 2 years. My doctor wouldn't take it out. She said, your triple negative is going to come back. So leave in the port. You're not done yet. I
Yeah.
had to go to a doctor and say, hold on, wait a minute. Dr. Regina said, no, we're not doing that. But that's good. But good.
Well,
So
you fared very well, and you've been an inspiration, I'm sure, to many, and myself included. It's nice to see you and Karen Peterson and all of you who are doing so well and thriving many years later. It's awesome.
well, we're trying, but we know our purpose. And
Right.
so we're putting the work, girl, to talk about not only about your triple negative journey, but also about your your bone health and how you're dealing with that, and how you really had it before breast cancer, but it was
Right.
probably exacerbated by the chemo, right?
Yes, it has
Yeah.
been. Yes. I
Yeah.
told my friend the other day, sometimes my kneecaps feel like they're on fire and they're like peeling away from the joints underneath. And I'd never had that before.
Wow.
So yeah.
So you're
That's really interesting.
having some pain with it, some pain, right?
Yeah, deep bone pains, yes. They come and go.
And they come and go. Interesting. And so do you think the prolia is helping with that, or?
I hope that it is, and that the next DEXA scan definitely shows that it is.
Okay, so we're going to look for some improvement there and try to see
Right.
what's working, and then it seems like you have a pretty rigorous exercise
Yes. Yes.
plan for yourself, hiking and.
So I've been going to the Y for years, and it's weird. In 2019, I had dropped off from going. I traveled a little bit, and already suddenly there were things notably wrong in my body that were being diagnosed, like my pancreas issue, and then the breast cancer.
Wow.
Before that,
Wow.
I would go to work, I'd leave work, I'd come home, change into my clothes, and I would go to the, exercise. And so I'd fallen off. And in 2020, I did a lot of walking at home. I bought a rebounder. I love bouncing on that when I can. I had my permanent yoga station set up all
Right.
during 2020, and I was doing all of that. But I don't know. Suddenly, yes, I just had breast cancer. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And all
Well, it
that.
looks like you're thriving beautifully, and we love that you are taking Prolia, that it's working for you, and it's gonna help you strengthen your bones, and doing all the right supportive things to get yourself well.
Right. Yes.
If you had to go back and tell somebody talk about osteoporosis, take cancer off the table for a minute and talk about, maybe that first scan that you had
Mhm.
in menopause, how would
Right.
you talk to other women about it, other people about it?
Well, first, I would encourage them to, if they have a better opportunity than I did, to know their history, of
Yeah.
osteoporosis in their own families. Because again, I'm guessing maybe my mother was going through it early as well. I
Mhm.
don't know. I thought that was kind of early, for I don't know. And
Right. Kind of
so
getting osteo, right.
right. So for that, then I would encourage the person to get their own screening early, as early as they can, or as early as it's allowed, I guess,
Mhm.
based on their family history, for one, and to follow up with treatment. At least ask what the treatment would have been, and
Right. Right.
do it early and not do it later. Because
That
yeah,
again, say that again.
do it earlier and not later. Not later. Do it when it matters most, so that you can take care of it. Just like with the cancer screenings, get your screenings.
Right. Right.
Do it early. I have been encouraging people. I can't tell people to sit in that chair and take that chemo. I wouldn't tell them not to. But while you're sitting in that chair, they're coming up with something else. If you go ahead and get in the chair and do it early, you have better outcomes.
Right.
That's
Right.
what we
You have
hope.
more time to see what comes out next, right? Yeah, that's what we've been down in New Orleans talking about when we trial,
Right.
our clinical trials campaign. But you're so right that while you are right now experiencing cancer and experiencing osteoporosis, experiencing, your other illnesses, things are happening in the lab,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
You want us in the lab, so the things that are happening in the lab include Black bodies,
Mhm. Mhm.
so that you can get that extra year, that extra time, that extra whatever,
Right.
to be able to go to a birthday party or wedding, and that, our lives are extended because we're healthy. What a
Right.
concept.
And so
Right.
that they know if those drugs will actually work on us.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think I went to an integrative oncologist, and he was looking at me like, well, I don't know. They gave you all of those drugs. They were supposed to take care of it. We know it doesn't take care of it in everyone.
Right.
The way he said it, if I only listened to him, I would have been like feeling down, but I wasn't. Thank God, have more
Thank God
faith
for
in
that.
him.
Wow. We have so many people that they don't, people are caught because, we actually, Dr. Mo was telling me the other day, she had a patient, 29 years old, triple negative breast cancer. And she called her to say, you know what? I don't think I'm going to do the chemo. I think I'm going to use natural things. And we're like, oh my God. So
Oh.
we put our army of young breasties on her, blowing up her phone, to say,
Mhm.
hold on, babe, go ahead and eat the trees, and,
Right.
live in nature and eat the broccoli and the, cauliflower rice or whatever you want to call it, but you have to take these medications. You have
Right.
to.
Yep.
So,
And I have a friend who's always looking for like, what do you call it? Begins with a C. When someone's trying to do something on purpose to other people. Conspiracy theories.
Okay, conspiracy
It's
theories.
like that. And she says things like, oh, there's cure for cancer. They already know it, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know that she doesn't know anything specifically really about cancer and cancers and cancer research and what's going on. But if I could explain it to her, I would tell her it is so complicated. I don't think that people are hiding anything. They're just figuring it out.
Right.
Figuring it
So
out study by study, one trial by trial. after, very long periods of time in between. So yeah, the treatments I'm getting now, my mother, I'm sure, did not have these treatments. So
Right. They
things are
didn't.
being done. And I don't know who else would stand to gain if people just keep having cancers that aren't cured, because they could still make money on the cures.
I
So
know, or in
don't-
chronic, even if we could make cancer a chronic disease, like osteo, and just give people medication to extend their lives, but does it have to kill everybody?
Right.
No,
Right.
but I mean, to your point though, you made a lot of really good points today in terms of how we manage our care.
Mhm.
You thought you could handle it on your own.
Right.
I'm going to be okay. I'm going to sit with this for a minute because I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm gonna drink more milk or eat more calcium, whatever, try to handle it. And then you say, I'm going to wait a minute. I'm going to try this, but it's almost like, how do we get ourselves into a pattern of taking care of ourselves without thinking something's crazy about it, right? Why are we all these control freak women that say, I'm going to handle it myself,
Mhm.
and actually almost make it worse for ourselves, right? Thank God you didn't do that with cancer, that you took an action, and that you knew that you had dense breasts. And everybody, for dense breasts, what do we need? We need 3D mammograms. Don't get regular mammograms, everyone. If you have dense breasts, get a 3D mammogram. If you don't know whether you have dense breasts or not, you need to ask your doctor so that you're ready to get the right kind of mammogram. A regular mammogram is not going to be enough for you. So but again, something we need to talk about,
Right. Mhm.
So something we need to talk about. And I think that, now you have, your daughter, you can talk about it with, and let her see what you're going through and what you're dealing with, because she has you. You didn't have the benefit of your mom.
Right. Yes.
Right.
Right.
So
I
knowing
wish
that now,
Yes. Yes.
yeah,
I
makes you
sent her
probably more,
had her screening as well. Yes.
right. So hopefully you'll be more communicative with her, because
Right.
you didn't have that benefit as a child or a young woman growing up.
Yes. Mhm.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yep. And the
So,
funny thing is, I always got my mammograms, just because I was on, like automatic. You're supposed to get them, so I got
right.
them. But I didn't have anyone in particular who was, like my mother or like a true matriarch that I would naturally just go talk to about my mammograms about. But yeah, I was following up, man. Yeah, it was just suddenly there. So yeah, interesting. So yeah, it's good. I'm here for her and anybody else. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for this great conversation. We so appreciate you. And we'll bring you back on for when we start talking about triple negative. I think we're going to do a triple negative show in October. And we always do triple negative day, the first week of March. March started triple negative day. But I think we're going to do a triple negative show in October, so you can meet some other TNBC breasties.
Right.
And we're definitely going to do some more bone shows, because I really want to see what happens on your next scan.
Right. Yes, me too.
All
Yeah.
right. So when you have your next scan, reach out and we'll bring you back on so we can talk about it, because we don't know about osteoporosis. We don't know what who knows what a DEXA scan is, and I'm not even looking at the chat today. I'll go back and answer the questions if people are asking about it, but we got to build awareness of this and let people know, because we don't want, we don't want you to break a bone. It's all about the break. And that's when you break a bone, all kinds of bad things can happen. And we're too busy to break a bone.
Right. Yep. Yep.
Right? You got things
More
to
than
do.
anything, then you become immobile and you're not using your body, and that's not good.
That's not good. We need to stay
One of
healthy.
the main things the integrative oncologist said was that some study he had seen, or I guess several studies, said people who've had cancer have fewer recurrence if they're exercising. And that's what everybody
I had what recurrence with their
fewer
exercise?
recurrences.
Oh,
They
fewer
have
recurrences, yes.
with the exercise.
Yes.
So a lot of the eating is controversial, but the exercise is not so controversial. Everyone says you should be moving, so it's very important. Yeah.
I know. What is like sitting is the new smoking. Don't sit, get up and move your body. Right.
Uh-huh.
I'm just looking at our chat really quick. Usually Mo does this for me or Dr. Nicole, so I'm just looking at our chat to see if we have any good questions.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody was asking about herbal remedies. Have you tried any herbal remedies for anything?
So your doctor doesn't want you to take anything while you're in treatment, of course.
Right.
But fortunately enough,
Careful.
I met a woman while working virtually at home, who doesn't live far from me. We were connected because of my days off on that particular job. She was my coverage. And our supervisor would say things like, "You two are so much alike." Well, I'm middle-aged and I'm Black. She's middle-aged and white. And I'm like, we would talk on the phone. I'm like, wow, she is like me. And she felt the same thing. And we were kind of like, why did we meet for real? She had the same cancer.
Wow.
Different experience. And I know all cancers and all people are different. But ultimately, in the end, she and I decided maybe we met because she told me about the Chinese herbal doctor. Maybe that's why I met her. So with him, he did prescribe 19 herbs. I went and I met him, and he prescribed. He prescribed 19 different herbs, and I did consult with another Chinese herbal medicine doctor closer to my home. I showed him the list. He said, "Oh, I can see how those herbs would be helpful to you." And I'm going to be meeting with him again this week as well, just to see if any of those also could be contraindicated in any way. Because I've already asked the doctor who prescribed them, and they're supposedly are not. The main thing I should have to look out for are gastric issues. But I have like 19 that he put me on, and he actually has a study that he did with some colleagues, a paper that he had published, and he has a website. I don't know if you want to.
All right.
Want me to tell who he is, and if the person who asked the question wants to look him up, I don't know.
Sure, go for it.
I know of other breasties who are online who had seen the doctor as well. And they're well known, and maybe some of these breasties know who they are. And they have said that they see him. So I don't know if you want me to say who they are.
Yeah, you can go back and look in the chat later and put it in the comments.
Okay, I'll answer that there.
Yeah,
Yep.
and if you send it to me, I'll put it in the comments. But it's okay. I mean, we are all about giving information, trying to help our sisters, help our families, help our community. And so, I don't really have a bias towards,
Right.
Love about blackdoctor.org is we have this awesome platform to be able to talk and tell the real deal and try to help people, and, Reggie, the CEO, he's just all about how can we help Black people be healthier, so that's what we're all about.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So thank God for that. Thank God for that. And, we have the blessing of Amgen, one of our really great partners in the breast cancer space. And, they really are focused on bone health, and they see the need to make these conversations happen in the Black community and want to support us. So that's why we're here on Sundays.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. I have to remember to keep tuning in and to let you know of what's going on with me as I go on.
We posted, come back anytime, so we do Love Your Bones every first Sunday of the month at 3 p.m. Eastern time. And, Dr. Mo and I have spent the weekend with Dr. Mo. We we don't often get to spend the weekend together live, and we've had such a great time. And she left this morning. But we will be on The Doctor Is In this week, and we're going to be talking about mental health on Wednesday at 6. And talk, that's a touchy subject in our community, but it's something we need to talk about. And another thing to put on the kitchen table, that we need to get rid of stigmas and talk about it. And then actually the following week, I will be live with Dr. Mo at her farm. So.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah. And then next month on Love Your Bones, we have another friend of ours who just got diagnosed with osteoporosis. And she's actually one of our creative directors, and she was making the flyer for this show. And she said, Ricky, I had a DEXA scan yesterday. And so when I first told her about Love Your Bones and what we were doing, and so I've kind of been tracking her to see what's going on with her. And so now she's just gotten prescribed medication. So she's going to come on the show next month and share her journey. Okay. So come back with us if you want to, and we'll see where you are with your next infusion and see how you do.
Okay. Sounds good. Yes. Thank you. So thank you for asking me to share. This has been great. I told you I'm not a speaker, I'm a writer. But it's been great. But everybody,
you get it out.
Yeah.
You were great.
Yeah.
Okay. You were awesome. And thank you for sharing. It's so important for us to share. And even if you have to sort of force these conversations on your families, have these conversations on your families. Everybody's doing family reunions this summer. We did kind of a family show on The Doctor's In last week for Black Family Cancer Awareness Week. But, bring your families into these conversations. I love that you're talking to your daughter, and keep everybody informed. We just don't know. I keep telling the story of My friend whose mom now has metastatic colon cancer, she's not doing well. The grandson has colon cancer. The two children have symptoms and they don't talk about it. They didn't talk about it until she's dying.
Oh, yeah.
And she's never had a colonoscopy in her life at age 89.
And you keep hearing about people who don't do their screenings. I know, right? Yes.
Yeah, it happened. And we know, I don't even want to envision what cancer is going to look like in a year, because all the people that didn't screen during COVID, it's all going to come out in the wash.
Right.
So to do better, we have to do better. But we have to just bring it back. Like tonight, you guys, when you're cooking dinner, when you got everybody around the TV, turn the TV off for 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Turn that TV off. Put those phones down, and talk to your families about this show. Talk
Right.
about osteoporosis. Talk about triple negative breast cancer. Talk about, what we're talking about now. Share it with somebody in your family so we can get the conversations going.
Right. Yeah. And
Right.
I'm going to bring that up regarding my family reunion next time. I just signed
Right.
up with the planning committee, but I think I want to work on the family health tree. That's
Great.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. And I
You
should
know,
be talking to my cousin all along.
there's actually on if you go to HHS, Health and Human Services for .gov, they
Uh-huh.
actually have a health family tree that you can download
Okay.
and build a tree based on who has what, who
Right.
died of what, who had high blood pressure or heart
Right.
disease or strokes or whatever those things
These
are,
have
and
you.
fill that in. I've done it for my family, and it's a huge awakening when people actually see the trends. We're
Yeah.
like, oh gosh, look at that one side of the family all had strokes. That one side of the family all had hypertension.
Mhm.
And then look at all the cancer. And
Right.
I'm having to help my friend do that for their family so they can track
Yes.
where the disease is coming from. And because, we can, colon cancer and prostate cancer are preventable.
Right. And it helps when you're aware and you're looking, you're
Right.
paying attention.
When you're looking.
That's important.
Right.
So you don't just
Right, and osteoporosis, I don't know the hereditariness of osteoporosis, but you can see it was there and look out for it and be on the lookout for it
Mhm.
at an earlier age and take care of yourself before something bad happens, before somebody falls.
Yes.
Somebody falls,
Yes.
right? Don't fall. It's all about the break. That's our new tagline. It's all about the break. We do not want one. So I'm
Yeah.
glad you're taking care of yourself. And thanks everybody for joining us today. Thanks, my friend.
Thank you so much, Vicki.
See you soon. We'll keep talking and everybody, we'll see you Wednesday on The Doctor Is In. Breasty Love. I have to do that even on the Bone Show. Breasty Love. Thank you, Amgen, for sponsorship. Breasty Love, my sister. Take
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.